Windows? We use them every day, but have you ever wondered about their history? Where did the word window come from? Who first used them, and how did they evolve? Today we'll journey through time to explore the fascinating history of windows, from ancient openings to the cutting-edge glass we use today. The word window has an interesting origin. It comes from the Old Norse word vindauga, which means wind eye. It's a combination of vindr, meaning wind, and auga, meaning eye. Essentially, a window was once thought of as a wind eye, a hole in the wall that allowed wind to pass through, much like an eye lets light in. In those early times, a window wasn't really a glass pane, it was just a hole in a wall. Ancient cultures around the world started using these basic openings to let in air, light, and sometimes even rain. In the ancient world, early civilizations like the Egyptians, Greeks, and Romans were among the first to experiment with the concept of windows, but they were far from the glass structures we know today. In fact, windows in those times were more about letting in light and air than offering views or protecting against the weather. In ancient Egypt, windows were often just narrow openings in thick stone walls, providing ventilation and light, while also serving as protection from the intense desert heat. These openings were sometimes covered with reed mats or wooden slats to allow airflow but block out the sun. The Greeks, too, used simple window openings, often with wooden latticework or shutters. These allowed the interior of the home to remain cool while still permitting light and air to pass through. Unlike today, when windows are primarily designed for visibility, these early windows were more about managing the elements. The Romans, however, began experimenting with early glass as a window material. They used a type of glass that was far from clear, rough, and opaque, more like frosted or clouded glass than the transparent panes we use now. This rudimentary glass was made by melting a mixture of sand, soda ash, and lime, but it was thick and uneven, often more decorative than practical. In addition to stone and wood, another material used by ancient civilizations for windows was animal hide. Yes, in places like northern Europe and parts of Asia, people would stretch hides of animals such as cows or goats across window openings. The hide would be treated to make it more durable and translucent, allowing a dim, filtered light to enter, while still providing protection from the elements. This practice lasted for centuries, especially in colder regions where glass was a luxury. This technique was especially common in Viking settlements and other ancient homes where glass was scarce or too expensive. It was also more accessible, as animal hides were a readily available resource. Eskimo shelters would use ice windows during winter. Despite the rudimentary nature of Roman glass, the use of materials like hides would eventually fade as glass-making techniques slowly advanced. However, these early window coverings, whether reed, wood, or animal hide, played an essential role in the daily lives of ancient people, offering a balance of light, air, and protection. By the time the Roman Empire rose to power, glassmaking had begun to evolve beyond basic metal and stonework, but the glass they created for windows was still far from the clear, smooth panes we use today. The process was primitive, with glass often being thick, uneven, and far from transparent. The ingredients for primitive window glass were simple but critical. The Romans used a basic formula made from three key materials: sand, soda ash, and lime. Sand, of course, was the primary ingredient, providing the silica needed to form glass. Soda ash, typically derived from plants or minerals, acted as a flux, helping the silica melt at lower temperatures. And lime, often made from crushed limestone, was used to stabilize the glass and make it less brittle. Once these ingredients were mixed, they were heated in a furnace at temperatures around 1100 to 1200 degrees Celsius, hot enough to turn them into a molten liquid. Glassmakers would then either cast the molten glass into molds or blow it into shape using a blowpipe, a technique developed by the Romans around the 1st century BC. In the early days, glass was typically formed into thick, uneven sheets. One common method was the casting process, where molten glass would be poured into a mold to harden. However, the glass was often wavy and uneven, creating the characteristic cloudy appearance of Roman windows. This glass was not the transparent, clear material we know today. Instead, it was cloudy or opaque, often with visible air bubbles trapped inside. The imperfections were a result of the relatively crude techniques and tools available at the time. As a result, early Roman windows were often made up of many small pieces of glass, placed together in a frame. This method was also used in early stained glass windows, where smaller panes of colored glass would be fitted together like a mosaic. Despite these imperfections, early glass windows provided some protection from the elements. They blocked out the wind, rain, and cold, while still allowing in light. As centuries passed, glass-making techniques improved, especially during the Middle Ages. By the 12th century, glass began to be used more widely in cathedrals and churches, primarily in the form of stained glass. These colorful windows were made by adding metal oxides to the glass to create vibrant colors. But clear glass was still rare, and it wasn't until the 17th century that glass-blowing technology improved enough to create large sheets of clear glass for domestic use. By the 1800s, glass manufacturing was undergoing a profound transformation, thanks to the Industrial Revolution. Two key advancements in glass production during this period, the cylinder glass process and the float glass process, would radically change the way glass was made, and by extension, the windows we use today. In the early 1800s, glassmaking advanced with the cylinder glass process. The key idea behind this method was to create large, uniform sheets of glass by blowing a hollow cylinder of molten glass, then cutting and flattening it. This technique was a vast improvement over earlier methods, which were either too labor-intensive or produced only small panes. Here's how it worked. First, glassmakers would blow a large, thick tube of molten glass, almost like a balloon with a blowpipe. After the tube cooled slightly, it would be cut open lengthwise to form a flat sheet. This sheet was then reheated and flattened into a flat surface, ready to be cut into panes for windows. Though this process produced larger sheets of glass than ever before, it still had its drawbacks. The glass was often quite thick, and the process left the surface slightly uneven, meaning that the sheets would often contain imperfections like bubbles or ripples. However, the cylinder process made glass more affordable and available, and it was widely used for window glass throughout the 19th century. In fact, many of the windows in 19th century buildings, including homes and public structures, were made from cylinder glass. It was a significant step toward mass-producing window glass, although still far from the flawless, clear panes we have today. Then came the float glass process in the mid-20th century, a revolutionary breakthrough that would completely change the world of glassmaking and bring about the clear, smooth windows we know today. Developed in 1959 by British engineer Sir Alistair Pilkington and his team, the float glass method eliminated many of the imperfections that plagued earlier techniques like cylinder glass. Here's how it works. Molten glass is carefully poured onto a large bath of molten tin, which is kept at a precise temperature. The glass naturally floats on top of the tin, spreading out evenly across the surface due to the different densities of the two materials. As it floats, the glass spreads into a smooth, flat sheet. Because of the nature of this process, the glass emerges with a perfectly flat surface, free of the waves or bubbles that were characteristic of cylinder glass. The tin bath allows the glass to cool evenly, ensuring that the finished product is not only smooth but also incredibly uniform in thickness. One of the key benefits of float glass is its uniformity. The smooth, even surface made it ideal for applications where clarity was critical, such as in large windows, mirrors, and even optical lenses. Float glass also became the standard for architectural glass, automobile windows, and eventually, the glass we use in our homes today. Today, float glass is the foundation of almost all glass production. It's used in everything from skyscrapers to car windows, and even in the solar panels that generate clean energy. This method revolutionized the way we look at glass, and allowed for the creation of high-quality transparent windows on a massive scale. Today, windows serve more than just one purpose. We have many types of specialized glass, each designed for a unique need. For example, tempered glass is heat-treated to be stronger and more shatter-resistant, commonly used in shower doors and car windows. Soundproof glass is designed to reduce noise, often used in apartments and busy urban environments. And then there's bulletproof glass, made by layering sheets of glass and plastic to create a nearly indestructible barrier, used in high-security environments like banks, airports, and police vehicles. Glass in airplanes and vehicles also plays a crucial role. Aircraft windows are made from highly durable materials that can withstand extreme pressure and temperature changes, while automotive glass is designed for safety and visibility. But windows aren't just about protection from the elements or safety. They also connect us to the outside world, letting in natural light, offering views, and contributing to our well-being. Studies show that exposure to natural light can improve mood and productivity, making windows an essential part of our everyday lives. Looking ahead, the future of windows may be even more exciting. We're already seeing innovations like smart glass, which can adjust its transparency based on sunlight, and solar windows, which can generate electricity from the sun. Who knows what the next breakthrough in window technology will be? From humble beginnings as a wind eye to the sophisticated materials of today, windows have come a long way. They continue to evolve, shaping the way we live, work, and connect with the world around us. So, next time you look through a window, remember that you're looking through a product of centuries of history and innovation. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe.